Hello, APBIO. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, why are plants green? So in order to understand why plants are green, we actually have to talk a little bit about light. So we're going to do the fastest physics conversation ever, and I'm going to talk a little bit about light. All that it is a type of energy. And that type of energy is electromagnetic radiation. Now, light can be described as either a wave or a particle. It's called the wave-particle duality. And you don't really need to know anything more except that it's made up of, when we talk about it as a wave, it's made up of electromagnetic waves. Or when we talk about it as a particle, or when it's discussed as a particle, it's important to note that that's or. It's called a photon, which is just a particle of light. And note that this is photon, not proton, PH, photon. So this diagram is a diagram of what we call the electromagnetic spectrum. So these waves have different frequencies. There's low frequency down here and high frequency up here. Let's talk a little bit about the electromagnetic spectrum, because you actually already know a lot about it. Low frequency or low energy electromagnetic waves are what we call radio waves, which I'm sure you heard of. So that's how you listen to the radio. But also, that's how you talk on your phone. So that's how cell towers work. If we move up in frequency, you also know, this radio right here, you also know about other electromagnetic spectrum. Microwaves are down here too. So those are all relatively low frequency. Radar is down here. You can see this is where microwaves are. And then we have heat, which is here, which is infrared radiation. All of those things are low frequency. You can think of them as low frequency electromagnetic waves. And they're, if you look at them down here, you can see that the energy is lower and it's increasing as we move in this direction. So low frequency means, it refers to that, you can think of it as the top of the wave. So a low frequency wave is going to be a really calm day at the beach. The waves are really far apart, sometimes as far as a kilometer apart. They're showing you here the waves, the crests of the waves could be a soccer field apart. They can even be further apart than that. So very, very low energy waves. Now, as we move up in radiation, we're going to skip this for just a second right here. We move up to ultraviolet rays. That's where you wear sunscreen at the beach. They're high enough frequency where they can cause cell change. So that protects you from cell change. Cell change means specifically change in the DNA, which can lead to loss of control of the cell cycle. That's what we call cancer. And then up here we have X-rays and then gamma rays. That's what radiation sickness results from, the gamma rays. So these are all really higher frequency, higher energy waves. Now, the interesting part, or the part that we're going to talk about now, again, remember the original question is, why are plants green? This part in the middle right here, this really, really thin sliver right here, is visible light. And essentially you can see that we're actually almost blind. We can't see anything to the left of that, and we can't see anything to the right of that. We can only see the electromagnetic spectrum in the visible range, very, very narrow range of that we can see in. Now, the specific molecules can absorb light in the visible range. We call those pigments. And all that a pigment is a molecule that can absorb light at a very specific wavelength. So the two most abundant pigments in plants are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. And they're two different ones. They just absorb light at slightly different wavelengths. Those are the most abundant pigments in green plants. Okay, so the question is where, again, we're trying to answer the question, why are plants green? What frequencies are they absorbing light? If you see here, the chlorophyll molecules are embedded in these light harvesting complexes. So here's chlorophyll A right here, you can see it. And then chlorophyll B is going to be embedded in here too. So this green is showing you the chlorophyll molecules. So the specific wavelength that chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B can absorb in can be described, or we can talk about it with our acronym that we use to describe all the wavelengths in the visible light, in the visible spectrum. Here we have the visible spectrum. And remember, the visible spectrum for all our colors are just red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And it turns out that chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, a combination of those two, can absorb really well in the 650 to 750 range. That's in the red, orange, those are nanometers. That's just the measure between the tops of the crests of the waves. They can also absorb really well in the 380 to 500 range, which is the blue, indigo, and violet. However, they can't absorb in the green range, in between there, so between 500 and 650. And so therefore this wavelength of green is reflected. And it turns out that we see reflected color. And so the reason that plants are green is because plants can't use green.